Will
it float?
That is the question.
Hello, and welcome to Will It Float? Featuring this week, concrete. First, we have to actually see if we can make a concrete canoe. So, mixing concrete and this ultra-light fertilizer, we come up with our first prototype. It seems like this is too heavy and the walls are too thick, but let's see. Will it float? It does! Although this does float, I feel like we can do better.
Now we need to experiment with a canoe that has larger dimensions, but also thinner walls. It appears that this concrete canoe is a little large, though. Seems like we went a little overboard. But the question is, will it float? And surprisingly, it does. We appear to have a little leakage here, so that'll be something to take into consideration with our next prototype.
This time we need to make thinner walls and a smaller boat so that we're inside the dimensions. I guess this works. As you can see, it's a little rough around the edges, but this time we utilized chicken wire to make a solid frame and made thinner and smoother walls so that it's more light and balanced than the last product. The real question is, will it float? Not at all. Not at all. Looks like for the next prototype we need to make a little thicker walls because obviously those were too thin.
Well, we took in consideration everything that we'd learned throughout the design cycle, and we finally came upon our finished product. Not only does the paint look great, it also serves as a very effective sealant to keep the water out. We made the walls thicker than they were when the canoe crumbled, but thinner than they were when the canoe was too large, creating a nice hybrid of durability and lightweight. But the real question is, will it float? It does. As you can see, this canoe floats very well. It floats so well, in fact, that we even took it to competition at Freshman Engineering Design Day. We didn't win, but we were all pleased with our rock-solid effort that made us all very proud of our creation. Our canoe wasn't perfect, though. There are several modifications we could have made in order to do better at competition. One major thing that we thought we should have done better was to maximize the dimensions in our canoe. Our canoe floated, but had our dimensions been larger, we could have held a lot more weight, which is what the competition was about. And for kids trying to do something like this at home, we've got a few tips that'll help you paddle your way to success.
Our first tip for success is to make lots of prototypes. As you can see, our first prototype is a lot different from our final product. If we had just gone with this canoe, we would have gotten last for sure. And since we got to this final product, we are much more satisfied with our results and our product.
Our second piece of advice would be to start early. Since we as a group started early on this project, we had plenty of time to make a variety of different prototypes. We also were able to spend time researching how we wanted to implement our canoe dimensions, what we wanted to model them after, and then getting to work together as a group.
Some groups tried to maximize their dimensions and just made boxes. They were disqualified because they decided that didn't look like a canoe, and although they did hold the most weight, they were disqualified. So don't cut corners by making corners.
Thanks for joining us on this week's episode of Will It Float? Next week, we look at laptops.